Right. He is back. Hopefully there'll be less stuff going on this time and see more of get to talk a bit more. And yeah. So I think you just cut out when I was saying when you were saying domino reduction. I thought I'd ask why domino reduction is better because I mean obviously I don't do FMC, but surely the optimal is not going to be domino reduction.
Well, it kind of is almost. Um, so you might, I don't know how much you know about like cube theory. I certainly know very little, but from what I do understand, that whoever Thistlethwaite was, he came up with and Kosiemba, they both came up with kind of their own algorithms to solve the cube, they called it. Um, which effectively went solve the cube so that at least the I think it was yeah. So basically, um, Thistlethwaite basically came up with the idea of solving the cube to a state where, or use computers to solve the cube to a state where it's solvable with half turns and U and D moves only, which is effectively what domino reduction is. And what it does is it basically reduces the number of possible moves that you have to do or that you can possibly do, which means that pieces are it's difficult to explain. Basically, it reduces the cube down to a state that where it's solvable in a smaller set of moves, which, with given the kind of uh, flexibility you have with a domino reduction or a cube that's reduced to domino reduction, means that you're going to be able to solve it in a significantly fewer number of moves than you would if the cube was just, say, scrambled, or solvable with any set of moves. So, and it also um, enables us to be able to use other techniques that are not so practical for a cube that hasn't got the domino reduction done. So, for example, solving the cube's corners and then kind of dealing with some of the edges later. It can be done otherwise, but it often requires significantly more moves when you're in a non-reduced state. So, take for example, uh, the shortest. I'm trying to think. So, yeah. So, take for example, like one of the shortest CLR cases, which would be a soon or something. So, if you're trying to solve the corners, you can just do a soon. That's 7 moves. But in 7 moves, within domino reduction, you can also do like uh like loads and loads of different corner cases for wait with the exact same move count, but you're able to solve many, many more. And um the cases are also a lot easier to recognize because you've got a very limited number. I think it's only 120 or something corner cases when you exclude symmetry or when you include symmetry and inverses maybe. But basically there are loads and loads of cases that you can solve in significantly fewer number of moves, unlike when you've kind of got a 3x3 and you need to solve them. You need to solve the corners. It might take 10, 15 moves to do a out to solve the corners of the last layer. Basically, it's very, very good, but it's difficult to learn because it's such a different style of solving to
Mm.
speed solving. So you have to really adjust your mindset um, completely in order to be able to do domino well.
Mm.
And I'm still not quite at that point, unfortunately. But it's good fun to try still, and I'm trying to improve at it. And it has been proven to be well. Some people's results have basically shown that it's an incredible method that should be basically used exclusively by cubers for FMC. However, for me at least, it does remove a lot of the creativity out of the solve, which is a big shame because that was one of the things I used to really like about Fierce moves that no solve would be the same. But now there is an actual kind of method that you can stick to and you can get consistently good results. Um, and by doing that, you'll still be doing slightly different moves each time. But for many solvers nowadays, almost every single FMC solution will start with edge orientation, then go to domino reduction, then we'll go to half term reduction, and then we'll go to solve. And it will just be 4 steps, and maybe there'll be an assertion somewhere as well. But for me, that's a bit of a shame because you get rid of a lot of the creativity that used to be involved in block building, kind of traditional block building and EO methods.
Mm.
So it's big information dump, and I didn't explain the domino stuff very well, but
Mm. I mean, of course, you have the FMC world record. Well, you did have the FMC world record, which is still second in the world. Or well, I presume some people have tied that now.
yeah, a couple of people, yeah.
So, how was that then? I presume that wasn't domino reduction, but
Well, it actually was, is the funny thing. But it was domino reduction, but it was also the first solve I had ever done with domino reduction, both at home and in competition. So pretty much the scramble was like it didn't look particularly easy at first glance, and I spent the first 25 minutes with not very much. And then I checked an edge orientation, so an EO that I hadn't looked at already. And when I switched to the other scramble afterwards, switched to the inverse, which is like another Few's moves technique. I noticed that you could solve a square in one move, so I was like, "Oh, I'll do that." And then I was like, "Oh, there's another square in one more move." So it's 2 moves, and you solve 2 squares. So I did those moves, and I was like, "Hang on, I've just accidentally solved domino reduction in 6 moves," which I didn't know much about at the time, but from what I had read very, every so often on, say, the speed solving forums, like domino reduction, if it was to be a good method, then it would normally take people, you know, uh, 14, 15 moves at the time. And I had just done it in 6. I was like, at that point, I was like, oh, this is quite scary. This is, now I have 35 minutes left of this solve to try and find the optimal solution from this EO. Sorry, from this domino reduction. And then it just so happened that the first thing I tried was the optimal solution. So I found the 11 move finish straight away afterwards. And there were quite a few different ways that you could do it and get an 11 move solution to the domino reduction. I happened to find one of the weirder ones, but there were some more obvious ones that I probably would have found if I'd kept looking for a bit longer.
mm.
But it was the first ever solve I'd done with domino, and I think it did bring kind of people's attention to it a bit more because they thought, well, if this had 6 move domino reduction and 11 move finish, if then say we take 12 moves to do domino reduction and then have a 11 move finish, or have say a 12 13 move finish, but that's still a 24 25, which was basically what the best fewest move solves at the time were getting. So it was like, okay, well, with this method with some that was how I was seeing it, at least. This method with some improvement could very easily get people down to low 20s when it's fully implemented and people have learned how to use it properly.
Mm.
And that has basically happened. So some people have had a lot of practice with domino reduction. There's an Australian guy called Jack Love who has been like massively instrumental in some of the domino solutions, and he's got some very, very good results and great solutions. And his home averages are about 21, 22, which is absolutely incredible.
Mm. So yeah, world record is 21 for average. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you
And
think
Jack Love is the person I just mentioned.
Mm. Do you
Is the
think it
second,
will
yeah.
get under 20 at any point?
I think so. I don't think it'll be for another few years, but I think it will definitely. Well, maybe not a few years. I think another couple, maybe.
Mm.
But I would expect it to drop down below 21 within the next year.
Mm. I mean,
Because
obviously,
all it takes nowadays is for some of the people who are very consistently good to get, 21, 21, and then a 20. And that's what I reckon, or 21, 21, and 19. It's
Mm.
definitely a possibility.
Yeah. So was your 17 actually optimal then?
Yes, it was,
Right. Wow.
which was pretty cool.
Because
I don't know whether it was the first optimal solve officially or not. I can't remember. Um, because I think I have a feeling that Chad Battens might have also been optimal, his 18,
right.
which was the previous world record. But
I mean,
I'm not
Sebastiano
100% sure on
Trompa
that one.
I'm pretty sure I heard that he could have got a 15.
Oh, maybe that was that. Maybe that's right. No, that rings a bell actually. So I don't remember.
Yeah,
But
I think I heard that Sebastiano Toronto could have got a 15, but
oh, Sebastiano couldn't have done. Sebastiano's was 16
was
optimal
it?
for sure.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Um, but Chad's, I feel like there might have been like an easy another way to do it. The crazy thing about Sebastiano's world record is that I was also very, very close to finding it. Um, so when you solve domino reduction, often you kind of set up to a trigger that would kind of lead to it. So for example, here you might set up so that you are like U2 R prime away from it, away from domino reduction, and then you kind of finish it off and have it done. But the thing is, as well as being able to do RU to R prime, you can also do R prime and get domino reduction. Um, and I forgot to check that in my solve at the time, so it was on the same scramble. I forgot to check that on my solve, and if I had checked it, there would have been a 6 move finish on the 10 move domino reduction that we found a very, very similar one, but I did RU to R prime, he did the other one. Well, actually, he did RU to R prime, then found some other things afterwards. But um, yeah, so if I just simply checked to the other trigger there, I would have got the 16 as well, which was a shame. But so I
Mm.
kick myself a little bit now, but oh, it's not a massive issue.
He's still
Bit of
second
a
in the
shame.
world, and
Yeah, exactly. I can't complain too much.
there's not that many solution scrambles that have a 16 possible, are there?
Exactly. Yes, it's only about 1 in 30, I think, if memory serves.
Mm, yeah.
So yeah, I reckon it's not going to go down to 15 anytime particularly soon.
Mm. But then it could happen at some point.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's almost certainly bound to happen at some point, but it will take quite a while.
Although I guess the thing is, as the optimal goes down, the chances of somebody finding it increase, probably.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I'm not sure at what point solutions become much more humanly findable. Definitely if you were to have, say, like a 11 or 12 move solution, then it would be, I think it would be quite likely that someone would find it. But for 15, I'm still not sure.
Mm.
I think it would really depend on just on the scramble itself, because sometimes there would be a like a 90 move optimal that is very easily findable because it's just kind of a standard domino solution. Um, and sometimes there'll be like a 17 that is completely unfind or 15 even that's completely unfindable because it seems to just be a load of random moves that appear to do nothing and then suddenly solve the cube at the end.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah. No. Um, so I guess you have obviously talked about FMC for a long time because I assume it interests you a lot. You were saying that you were doing like an attempt or two a day. which,
Yeah. Well, that was definitely what I used to be doing. Not anymore. But
mm.
yeah.
Does it carry over to anything else? Do you ever use things related to FMC on anything?
Not massively, but sometimes it gets sometimes in 3x3. Because you get a very good understanding of the cube. So being able to utilize blocks a bit easier, as a result of doing FMC is definitely something that I've picked up on. Like, and if there's like an easy pair on a 3x3 scramble, my mind will instantly switch to how can I incorporate this into an X cross rather than how do I preserve this pair, if that makes sense. So it's a little
Mm.
bit of shift of mindset when I'm doing 3x3, and I'll be much more prone to just kind of free flopping solves. Um,
Right. To be fair,
but
that does make sense. I'm always on the mindset of preserving a pair, but yeah,
mm,
X crosses are probably better if they
well,
can.
yeah, it really depends. It really depends. But yeah,
Yeah. And then
um,
Harry Owen constantly goes on about your feet solve where you got 29 moves.
yeah, it was brilliant. It was pretty good that one.
But was that
Um,
this one here, the 22?
yeah, it was the 22 out of absolutely nowhere. But the solution was just so silly. And when I showed it to Lim Hung, who was also at the competition, he got like a 10 on it. So it's a shame he didn't do that solution when he was competing, but it was just massive joke.
So,
Very, very lucky.
so what? Let's. Can you explain it again? Like what actually happened?
Yeah, so I can probably find the solution. Um, but it was basically I started with a cross and then or maybe it was even an X cross. I can't quite remember. Let me have a quick look. Um,
And then while you're finding that, I might as well ask your opinions on feet itself. Obviously,
yeah,
if feet was still an event, you would still be NR for some of ranks.
yes, yeah, for sure.
So
Which would have been nice, but oh well.
did
Okay, I
were
found the
you
solution.
all right?
I'll return to feet afterwards. Okay. What was I do? Uh, oh yeah, that's it. Okay. So I'll try and actually maybe if I explain it like this, it might be easier. So there's a easy cross with because these two are already in place, and then there's these two are just two moves away. So I just did that, and
Right.
then
You
I saw this
slightly
edge
out
was going to be
of frame.
solved. Yeah, maybe it'll be easier if it is. So this edge is solved, and the respective corner is up here. So I can just kind of do a simple D, insert the corner, uh, like that, and then other way. There you go. To do that pair as well. And then I knew that was going to be another. So I saw all this inspection, and then I saw there was going to be a free pair afterwards, like that. And then I was like, oh, there's a massive block there. Let's switch to doing blue after well. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I saw, oh, there's a free pair. But if I insert it like this, then I get no basket. And then it was just a U-turn. So it was, ridiculously short solution. And if someone else who was faster than me had found it, then it almost certainly would have been like sub 10 or something if Daniel Rose had been, I think, had it. So that was
Right.
it was funny because feet finished as my second highest world rank after FMC. Um,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a shame to lose that lucky single, but I still think it's probably best it's gone as an event because it was a logistical nightmare and stank out the venue pretty much.
Well, what do you think the limit would have been if it had remained an event? How fast would?
Mm, I think I don't know. I'm not sure. I think feat solving was taking an exciting turn when it was removed. Um, I would have thought that maybe the limit was kind of around 15 or so, 15 average. Um, because when you're solving on the floor, there's only so much movability and so much turn speed that you can get. So people like Daniel Rose Levine and Lim Hung were getting pretty much or very, very close to, at least it kind of seemed like it was pretty close to the maximum turning speed. And they were using loads of tricks and stuff. So it was very cool to see them solve. Um, and they were definitely kind of approaching it, and it was quite fun to have that kind of rivalry between the two of them with the world records. Um,
Hmm.
but I think 15 would have been around the limit, in my opinion. But obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if people, smashed that. But I guess we'll never find out, really.
Yeah. Have you done a feat solve since it was removed?
I think I've done like one or two, but most of the time it's like to demonstrate to people that I can do it with my feet. Oftentimes people like beg me to do it with my feet because they see a solve on my YouTube channel of me doing it with my feet. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Not sinking myself to those levels. Those days are behind us, that kind of thing. Um, so I very rarely do. And then I think I did one recently actually for just for fun. It was like, oh, there's my feet cube. I found I kind of dug it out of a bag. I'll
Wait,
try doing a feet solve, see how I did.
which cube did you use then? Was it like a
I
different?
used a really dodgy old GAN cube. I can't remember what it was. Um, but it was self-magnetized by Chris Mills. and it was really bad. But when he came around to my house one time, I was practicing on it, and I got my my PB single, my first ever sub 5. So I was like, okay, this is maybe I like this cube. And I kept with it and decided actually it's rubbish for 3x3. But I tried doing a feet solve with it, and because it was really, really loose and the magnets were really, really strong, it was quite good for my turning style for feet.
Hmm.
So I was like, well, okay, I'll use this feet, I guess. And I used that pretty much. It had a problem with corner twisting, but I became an expert at twisting corners back again with my feet as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, had to be done.
Yeah, because I mean, some people used to use like big sails for feet, didn't they? But
Mm,
I think the fastest
yeah.
people just stuck with normal size cubes.
I was never a big fan of using kind of bigger cubes for feet. It just seemed like it was too much effort. But some people really liked it. It wasn't for me though.
Right. Hmm.
And some people used to use like old F2 cubes, that obviously would never be used for anything else besides feet solving. But Callum Hellsjep used his for quite a long time. Um, I can't remember whether he switched in the end, but he was using that for years and years because it's very blocky.
Mm.
It's quite easy to turn accurately. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, it's over now, I guess. Despite Chi releasing an even bigger cube, the Chi Meng Plus, which I had
Yeah.
a lot of fun with,
Mm.
and I have
It's a
got
good
used
cube, but
to.
I feel like the days of feet are well and truly over now, luckily.
Mm. Right. So I guess the other thing I've know you were obviously trying for a 5 blind mean just so you could knock everyone else down by 1 ranking point.
Yeah, didn't quite happen. I ended up sextuple DNFing that a big blind. I
Oh,
DNF'd all of 4 blinds and all of 5 blinds at EBHC, so that was a bit embarrassing. Um, but oh well, I can try some other time. One of the
yeah.
sad things is that when I got my my PR single at Worlds 2019, I was actually really, really close to getting a mean. I just executed one target the wrong way around in wings, and that was my only DNF. So if I got that, I would have been the first person to get a mean. Would have got it before Callum Jeff as well. So that would have been cool. But oh well.
Mm. Because yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
okay, I haven't checked if Ryan Eckersley has beat his PR, but yeah, only 2 5 blind PRs are this year, which is kind of
Mm.
interesting. With people just not practicing it much, then
I think a lot of people have stopped practicing 5 blind or stopped practicing big blinds. So uh Ollie Frost obviously hasn't competed in a long time, but William Wright's still going. But Daniel and Callum, Matt Sheeran, Ben, Bertie, OJ, me, Mark, I think Daniel as well. None of them actually practice big blinds much anymore, as far as I know, unless there are some people in the that are hiding out there. So I'd be expecting something exciting from Ryan at some point soon because he's quite consistent with the solves. So it'd be
right.
pretty cool because he very nearly got NR mean at Cheltenham ABHC, but unfortunately missed it by a few cents or something, I think, on one cube, which is a shame.
Because I think we did see the first 5 blind 9 out of 9 success podium at one of these recent UK comps.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think was it the Manchester blind off one, maybe?
yeah, I think it
Um,
was. But then we've
but
got
Ezra's just a machine that never DNFs 5 blinds, so it's pretty
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, what was it? It was Ezra, Mengfei, and
And it would have been Nevins as well, because I think he got
yeah.
NR mean when he did it.
So of course
Yeah, but they're all just
none of them
very
are
consistent.
British either, are they?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, we
Yeah.
used to be so good at big blinds when Ollie for us was kind of on top, but now we've dropped off a bit, I think.
Hmm. And then yeah, other people are catching up with Stanley, it seems, but none from the.
Mm,
I mean, yeah, you've got
yeah,
Daniel
it
Wallins
was
not
exciting with
too far off, and then
Hill Pong as well. That
uh,
was a big one. Last weekend I think it was with his because his 5 blind had 42 memo, and the exec was quite slow. So otherwise, it could have been world record, which would have been crazy to see a non-Stanley world record for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. Right. So I guess the other thing to talk about is big cubes. You seem to be incredibly good at 5x5, but not very good at any other big cube
Yeah,
comparison.
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. I've spent a lot of time over the past 2 years practicing 5x5. And I got a very good average for me when at Cheltenham a couple of weekends ago. So that's why I've got such good 5x5 results. But 4x4, I have never really put much time into ever. And 6 and 7, I'd like to, practice them a bit more, but I think I need to get a new cube for each of them because my cubes are a bit rubbish now. Not very good at setting them up. And that might inspire me to do a bit more practice, but I really want to practice them so that I can reclaim some of ranks NR. So
yeah. Did you try my Alfie WRM at ABHC?
I don't think I did. I don't think I tried anyone's actually. I've been told it's very, very good. And I've heard that
Yeah.
Ellie has got one now and he's getting some very good results at home.
They sold out incredibly quickly. Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
If you're interested, when you've got one edge up there, two like that, and then you've got the bar there, you can basically do the blind corner swap alg from old Bogman, but with 3R, and then it solves all those. So
interesting.
That's a trick. I used to use it a lot more than I do now, because now I've got kind of quite good at avoiding that case and making sure that I always only have one commutator. But earlier I used that a lot more.
Yeah. Interesting. I'll have to give that a play. Play around with it because I do really need to improve at 7 in particular. And 4x4 as well. I think 4x4 might even be my worst rank nowadays. So I need to get on. Need to get on them both.
It's clock actually. You're joined for 4.
Well, sorry, in the world. I mean, in the world.
Oh, in the world.
But yeah, NR.
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
But clock, I do also need to practice on clearly.
Well,
yeah.
I guess you're most
I know.
NR sum of ranks and not, because you've still got the world record, I think. Actually, have you? Let's have you still got the world sum of ranks?
I used to be 4th in the world for sum of ranks single. That was my peak, but now I'm about 13th for each of them, I think. I know I'm ahead of Fabio still for world sum of ranks.
No, what's wrong with this page? It doesn't seem to be working anymore. There we go. It's here now. Yes, you are 19th in the world for sum of ranks.
Yeah, it's quite low down actually. That's for average, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Vedela gal is ahead of you.
He's overtaken me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be a lot higher. I'm happy to, let people overtake me now. I'm an old man.
Well, I mean, Daniel Vedela gal, I know that he knows full ZBLL, which I found quite interesting at Euro Norwegian Championships. Just watching him soon ZBLL cases.
It's pretty cool though. It's pretty cool. I do like it.
I presume you don't know anything like that.
No, I'd never learned full ZBL. I know. I don't know. If I were to estimate, I reckon I probably know like an eighth of ZBL. Possibly not even that. Because I just know kind of a few, miscellaneous cases. But yeah, don't use them all too often. They don't come up too often, so I don't. And I have never really kind of put like a massive amount of time into learning cases and things. So
yeah. So I presume how evenly do you practice different events? Is it like you focus on one thing for a period of time, or do you try and make sure that you're doing everything every so often?
I found that at least when I was practicing a lot more in the past, I would just practice one or two events kind of a lot before each competition, and then I would improve significantly at those. Oh, excuse me. But I also would kind of practice the other ones enough so that I wouldn't get slower. So I would at each competition I'd go to, I'd have a good chance of beating the PBs in the events I practice, and also a small chance that I would beat the ones in those that I didn't practice very much.
Right.
So that was effectively how I did it, and I never really did it intentionally. It just kind of happened, and because I like to practice every event, um, it just kind of naturally happened that I improved slowly at each one. But some of them I have kind of had to intentionally practice because I didn't really enjoy them very much. Like 7x7. I'm not a big fan of 7x7. So I kind of have to force myself to practice it to get faster. And it was like that initially with some other events like one-handed, but since then I've kind of grown to actually enjoy solving one-handed and enjoy solving 3x3, which I never used to that much. So yeah.
Right. And how much is enough to avoid slowing down then?
Not that much actually. I never used to. It depends on the event really. So some events like Mega Minx, you slow down very, very quickly if you don't practice. Same with blind actually. But for an event like 3x3, 2x2, I never really practice them at all. Well, sorry, I never. You can like go. I could go like a month without practicing either of them and wouldn't get any slower, especially for something like 2x2 or um clock. Actually, I've slowed down a lot at clock actually, so I do need to get some practice in for that. But most of the other events I just kind of stagnate and haven't got any faster, haven't got any slower because I haven't been practicing them.
I guess with clock though, is it's a completely different turning style, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I know how to solve some of the lucky cases, but I've never put like a massive amount of time into it. But it is, it can be good fun when your turning is on point, but when it's not, then it's really frustrating because you have to kind of slow down and DNF all the time. Hardware's still, I still my clock that I've got the new Qi one, but it's for whatever reason, either because I haven't broken it in yet or it's just a dodgy one that it's quite hard to turn when I've got all the pins up. So it's still a bit of an
Really
issue.
noticed that much of an issue with GE clocks. I mean, I've currently got
Yeah, I think
three of them out.
most of it's absolutely fine, but it's only really when all the pins are up, then makes it a bit difficult.
Because yeah, it's a bit strange you getting your fastest times with a Lingeo. Presumably, like you had what, like was yours outer magnetized Lingeo?
Yeah, it was who did I think I got so Sam magnetized it, I think. Or yeah, I think I bought a magnetized clock off Sam because for a while he was like, making them and selling them for 25 quid or something. So I bought a magnetized clock off Sam and then just practiced with that for ages. But to be honest, like the turning, I didn't find it that different really. Um, it's only with the people. So when I've tried people like Jacobs or Ed Scully's, when I've tried their clocks at competitions, then there's a like incredibly, incredibly fast, um, and like more difficult to turn accurately when you're not practiced with it. Like I'm not practiced with them, but with a Lingao, it's all very clicky. You can like the turning I've always found was quite easy. But yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
because of course the thing is with the Qi clock is that it's got magnets inside the gears as well to hold them in each individual place.
Oh, does it? Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference. That's why it's so much
Okay.
in show as
I
well.
haven't disassembled it yet. I probably should do at some point.
Oh, be careful. I wouldn't dare disassemble like that. I've got
Well,
somebody.
I was fine with the old clocks, but I don't know what it's like now with these Chia ones.
I mean, I got somebody comment on how they'd finally reassembled a 6x6. I mean, that's something
Oh, yeah.
you've probably done.
I'd rather disassemble a clock than a 6x6, to be honest.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I've had to fix a 9x9 before. It was horrible.
Oh dear. Mm.
Don't think I'll ever do that again. But anyway, I think this is going to cut out pretty soon. So, yeah, I guess I can. Obviously, you're going to UK Champs, aren't you?
Hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. I've got nothing else until then though. No other comps besides the fewest moves UK champs.
So, in the meantime, Fabio is going to be gaining ranks on you, isn't he?
Well, it might not be. It might not be. I've got faith that someone else might overtake him in other things, perhaps. So,
Right, if they overtake him, they'll probably overtake you as well, won't they?
well, yeah, I know. Fortunately,
If, um, if Daniel Partridge beats you at Pyraminx, he also beats Fabio as well, so it makes no difference.
yeah. Well, he's already beaten Fabio's the thing. So any rank that he gains on me is one that Fabio's already lost, so it doesn't really matter to him.
Yeah, so this is Droitwich Spa. Is he going there? Yeah. You see, what's what you're going to do? You're not going to Droitwich Spa, so 14.
No, I know. It's a shame to miss it actually, but just don't have the time. I think I'm busy that weekend, maybe. I don't
Mhm.
know. I've got and don't have the money as well, fortunately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess it's worth asking just before the end, like, what are you actually doing? You're at Oxford, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I'm at Oxford. I do biology. Just finished my second year, and I should have two more to go. Um, yeah,
Right. And then what are you looking to get into after that?
I don't really know to be honest. I want to stay within, kind of science and biology for certain, but whether that will take me down, academic route or, I don't know, something else, teaching or something. I don't know. I have no idea, basically. I quite like the idea of working in museum curation, but I think it's very competitive to get jobs in that field. So I don't know whether that would be possible for me to do, but it'll be nice. It'll be a good job to have if I could get one, but I don't have much hope. We'll see. We'll
Mhm.
see.
So, yeah, I mean, I've heard that they work you pretty hard at Oxford for short periods of
Mm,
time, but you have long
yeah,
holidays.
exactly. I've had a longer summer holiday this year than Phineas and Ferb do, to put it into context.
I don't really get that reference, but
They like the intro song to Phineas and Ferb, the TV show, was like there's 104 days of summer vacation. And I've had like 107 this year, I think, when I
um,
calculated it. So
mm,
I've had plenty.
I mean, to be fair, I think I've got about the same, but then do I count do I count being at home but having a few exams online? Because I went home from uni in late May and then I go
Hmm.
back. Well, I mean, I'm going back end of September, but it doesn't start until the 3rd of October.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. You can't necessarily always compare them because people have. Also, it's quite weird because at some universities they do like exam only terms and that kind of thing, but for us it's just like three terms, and each term is the same as all the others basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, difficult to compare different universities.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, before it cuts out, I want to ask what your favorite chocolate bar is.
Ooh, I'm a big fan of a double decker.
Okay. Right. And
Hopefully not controversial.
doesn't bother me what you say. I just need to think of something to ask each time.
Yeah.
So less than a minute left. Anything else you want to say to people? Will they hunt you down at UK?
Don't have much else to say to be honest. No.
Right, okay. Well, thank you. I might split this up into two parts, but I'll have to.
Might have to. Sorry about all the all the internet problems. Seems to
Yeah,
have been fine for this last interview, but yeah,
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
nice. Not a problem at all.